Coming up, I'll be talking with AmeriCorps Promise Fellow Tim Lee about the state of tutoring in the St. Paul Public Schools. That's next on the St. Paul Forum. Welcome to the St. Paul Forum. I'm guest host John Forde. Along with Lisa Tabor, I'll be hosting over the next year while regular host Mike Wassenaar is on sabbatical. With me today is AmeriCorps Promise volunteer Tim Lee. Welcome, Tim.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show, John.
Tell us how you arrived in St. Paul.
I arrived in St. Paul in 2004 as an undergrad at McAllister College. I'm originally from Oregon, and after my undergraduate education, I went back to University of Oregon, got my master's degree, and came back out here through a program with the Minnesota Alliance with Youth to become an AmeriCorps Promise Fellow. As an AmeriCorps Promise Fellow, I serve at Como Park Senior High School. I tutor math and science, run an after-school chess club, and I'm trying to bring in volunteers to help tutor our needy students at Como Park Senior High School.
Now, how did that happen? Because you were on rails for corporate America, weren't you? You were graduate school in chemistry, nice high-paying job, and something inside you said, I got to go do some service. Why is that?
Well, when I graduated from the University of Oregon and I had my nice job, I was working as a chemist at a paint factory. And as you might imagine, that isn't the greatest conditions. It's not, it's not the most fulfilling lifestyle, as I would like to put it. There's no knock against the paint industry. But as a young and a knowledgeable guy, I felt that I could contribute to my community. So I started volunteering at the local high school, and I met a high school student named Spencer. Spencer is a 6'5", African-American athlete who wanted to go to the University of Oregon and play football, but his grades were abysmal. They weren't great, especially in the math and sciences. When I first met him and I really didn't get along, and he was really quite shy. And I had to, kind of coax him out of his shell and tell him that he can do this. So in the end, Spencer and I met every day for like a month, and sometimes up to an hour and a half with personal tutoring in chemistry. And at the end of the week, Spencer would spend more time with me tutoring than he would spend in the classroom on chemistry. And the results were huge. Spencer, on his final, got a 98%, and he raised his grade from a D- to a C+, declaring him eligible for D1 scholarships. So I, at that point, knew that I had the resources and the tools to help youth, but also fulfill myself with serving my community.
Was it a big sacrifice? I mean, AmeriCorps volunteers get a subsistence wage, but you threw yourself into this, and it's been a year. Are you looking at re-upping?
Well, let me clarify.
Let me ask a harder question. Sure.
Let me clarify that as AmeriCorps workers, we get a living stipend.
Yeah.
And the living stipend is certainly modest, but that is kind of what the territory is. You are put in situations that are difficult, that our society need to face head on, and you shouldn't expect any different. I certainly don't, and it makes the job almost more fulfilling. At the end of this summer, that'll be my end of my first year of service, and I certainly, with the progress that I've made, want to continue and see this through. I feel that in a year, an AmeriCorps Promise Fellow can only do so much, but in 2 years, you can establish really solid relationships in the cities. And that's what I think the heart of an AmeriCorps Promise Fellow is, establishing relationships in the community to eventually help our schools.
Now, this has touched some kind of nerve in you because you become a leader in persuading other people to mentor and tutor.
John, it's really an important issue, this call for service, not just through AmeriCorps workers, but through all citizens of St. Paul. Our schools need a lot of help. I can throw a bunch of statistics at you, but the bottom line is that we all know that our education system is not serving our students like it can. And so part of my service is to create opportunities for community members to get involved, because we need this to be a citywide effort. It cannot be a localized school effort at Como Park or a little after-school program at Laura Jeffrey Academy. It has to be an effort from the entire city of St. Paul. And that's the only way we can ever hope to close the achievement gap and see and secure our future as a community.
Are schools not fulfilling their role properly? I've always thought that the correlation is really very strong, that the schools succeed when the community succeeds. And when the community is not doing well, then the schools are struggling.
I think that's a fair point. But that doesn't mean that we as a community can be satisfied with the results that our schools are getting. Students across the board are not doing as well as they can. There are certain areas, certain demographics that are doing well in the schools. There's no doubt about that. But there is a certain population that, as a community, we're not reaching. Mm-hmm. And without all of our students succeeding, mm-hmm. we as a community can never ever take that step out of our depression, out of our economic downturn. We need everyone to contribute productively as citizens, as adults.
Tell us a little bit about your approach to tutoring, because I came in and sat through 1 hour with you last Friday at Como High School.
That was great. Thank you.
It was ninth grade remedial algebra. I shouldn't say remedial. Is that an appropriate term? Does you get a different term for it?
No.
No. Okay.
Intermediate.
Intermediate. Okay. And I found just how far behind the curve I am. But just the sheer attention that those kids got. I was interested in the fact that there were, 18 to 20 students in that class, and there were 9 or 10 tutors who descended at one time and kept the focus on it. Even if we didn't really know algebra that well, they efforted so much more. And then the several knowledgeable people, including you, were able to come around and correct.
Well, at Como Park Senior High School, we have one program, and it's called Focus 9. And Focus 9 is a group of students made up of is a group of ninth graders that are not achieving their academic potential. Mm-hmm. I'm sure as you saw that all the kids in that classroom were bright, mm-hmm. but their grades are, not as good as we'd like them to be, and not as good as they would like them to be. But what's important to know is that they need adults that tell them, that support them, that encourage them to do well in school. They need that little extra push, and that's what we're trying to do at Como, is to flood this classroom with adults that are strangers but show that they care. And as you can tell from your own experience at Focus 9, that it really has an effect on them. They focus, they sit down, they don't visit with friends, they want to get it right. They have a certain ambition that is not readily seen by their regular teachers. But we want to bring in volunteers to help bring that out in them. But also we want to bring out volunteers to help our teachers. Because our teachers in Como, they care. They really do care. And they really want to make a difference in their kids' lives. But it's hard for them when there's 40 of them to one teacher. By bringing in volunteers, we can help coax out some ambition in the students, but also release the pressure off our teachers.
I saw that the students tap into their own ambition. In particular, just like they have a set 2 pages of work to get done in the allotted 53 minutes or whatever. And they were tracking real clearly to stay on pace. And it was really cool to watch. I've got 2 minutes to do this. They added one more math problem to their own little math problem to try and set their pace. And that is developing a good test-taking skill.